Patchwork City. Flesh tears. The world rushes in. I fall screaming into rain, slick with afterbirth and blind under the sodium glow of a street lamp. My hands slap cold cobbles, elbows scraping stone, lungs spasming around the first breath, wet, metallic, and wrong. Something clings to me. The sack. It drags across my back like a second skin, veined and twitching, the membrane still pulsing as if it hasn't realized I'm gone. I retch. Viscous fluid spills from my throat, warm and stinking of salt and rot. My legs won't hold. I crawl, dragging myself from the sagging wet mass that birthed me, nails scrabbling at mortar seams between the stones. My skin burns. The air slices across me like knives of cold iron. There's no thought yet, no context, just instinct, blind and screaming. Something moves. Down the alley. A shape. Wrong in its stillness. I try to stand. It watches. A man, maybe, if men still looked like that. Gaunt and bent, shoulders hunched like a crow's wings, skin stretched too tight over bone. His face is half lost in shadow under a soaked hood, but I see the grin. Not joy, not cruelty. Just hunger. He steps forward. I bolt, legs failing, slipping in the wet. My bare feet slap the stones, raw and unsteady. The alley is narrow. Victorian brick on one side, patched tin and rusted scaffolding on the other. No windows, no doors. Just run-off gutters spilling water like open veins. He doesn't run. He strolls. I turn a corner too fast, slam into a wall. A bark of pain, then movement. Up and over a stack of broken crates. Something sharp slices my foot. Doesn't matter. Just run. Keep going. There's a light ahead, faint yellow. A hanging bulb under corrugated steel. A doorway? I dive through. It's not a room. It's a dead-end alcove. Storage once. Now just damp concrete and mold. I turn. He's there. Close. Too close. He doesn't speak. Just tilts his head. His grin splits wider, revealing teeth filed to uneven points. His right hand holds something. Rebar? A pipe. Blood-rusted and heavy. I reach for anything. A brick. A bottle. Nothing. He lunges. The first blow collapses my shoulder. The second crushes my jaw. The third I don't feel. 4 minutes earlier, I didn't exist. The sack stretches like wet canvas above me. I'm inside it, curled, wet, cramped. Limbs pressed tight. The membrane hugs every inch, pulsing with a slow heartbeat that isn't mine. I panic. My mouth opens. Fluid floods in. I gag, choke, thrash. The sack stretches and tears. I fall again. The same alley, the same rain, the same scream. I know this. I remember. The brick wall scrapes my palms as I catch myself. I scramble up faster this time. The membrane still clings, but I'm already moving. The alley is familiar. The light, the crates, the scent, iron and mildew, wet meat and smoke. My lungs burn, but I run before I see him. I know he's coming. I don't go left this time. I vault the crates and duck right, under a broken iron pipe. Water sluices over me, but I push through, down a flight of stairs slick with moss, into a tunnel, low, bricked, reeking of piss and rot. Footsteps above, slow, deliberate. He's following. I grab a rusted pipe from the wall. It bends in my hand. Weak, but better than nothing. I crouch in the dark, shivering, listening. The footsteps stop. Silence. Then his voice, low and dry as paper. still soft. He's behind me. I spin. Too slow. He's already swinging. The pipe in his hands crashes into my ribs. I fold. My weapon clatters to the ground. He lifts me by the throat, one-handed, slams me into the wall. My vision blooms red. My scarred thumb rubs against the base of my index finger. A nervous twitch. A ritual. It does nothing. He grins again. Still soft, he repeats. Then darkness. I wake again and wet. The sack knows me now. Or maybe I know it. I don't panic this time. I brace, press my shoulder against the membrane and push. It parts easier, sliding over me like a birth canal slick with bile and grief. I fall into the alley. The same stones, the same rain, the same air, thick with decay and the tang of rust. I breathe, deep and slow. I remember. I died. Twice. But my hands move smoother now. I roll my neck, crack my knuckles. I know the path. I know the man. I know the death. I don't run this time. I crouch beside the sack. It still pulses faintly, hanging from the wall like a grotesque fruit. I touch the membrane. It's warm. It shivers under my palm. I tear a strip from it, leathery and slick, and wrap it around my hands. Makeshift gloves, better than bare skin. I search the alley, a length of broken timber, a shard of glass. I bind the shard to the timber with a strip of sack flesh, crude, ugly, but sharp. I wait. He comes. Same gait, same crooked grin. But now I'm watching him, not running. He stops 10 feet away. You're learning, he says. His voice is rough, like stones grinding together. I say nothing. He nods, approving. Still soft. But soft things can harden. He steps forward. I brace. He swings wide, lazy, testing. I duck under it and stab. The glass cuts his side, a thin line. He hisses, not in pain, in pleasure. You'll get there, he says, and backhands me. My head snaps sideways. Stars. Blood in my mouth. I swing again, wild. He catches the shaft, twists. It snaps. He kicks my knee. I fall. He kneels beside me. Third time's the charm, he whispers. He opens my throat with the broken glass. It's raining again. It never stops. I peel myself from the sack like meat from bone. The alley is quieter now. The lamp flickers. The ragged man is gone. I stand. My body is whole. No scars, no bruises. Just the memory. All of it. Every blow, every breath, every drop of blood. I remember the sting in my ribs, the burn in my lungs, the warmth of my own blood leaving me. I remember the feel of the shard in my hand, the way it sliced him, the way he smiled. I remember. That's the rule. The sack takes your body, but not your mind, not your fear. I step forward. My feet know the stones now. I don't trip. I don't panic. I'm not ready, but I'm learning. Somewhere above, a bell tolls. Just once, faint, distant. The city is watching. I rub my thumb across the base of my finger, a scar that isn't there anymore. But I feel it all the same. The ragged man is still out there. But next time, I won't be soft. Patchwork City. The first time I killed a man, I used a brick. He was younger than me, or maybe just smaller. Fresh from the sack, still slick and blinking. He looked up at me like I might help him, like I might know the rules. I did. That was the problem. I smashed the brick into his temple. Once. Hard. He crumpled with a wet grunt. No scream. Just surprise and then nothing. I checked his pockets. Nothing useful. A rusty nail. Half a strip of cloth. His boots were better than mine, so I took those too. He didn't need them anymore. I dragged the body behind a collapsed wall and left it for the flies. But they didn't come. Not here. Not fast enough. So I came back that night and cut strips from his thigh. I'd seen others do it. Quick, crude butchery. Skin curled back like leather. I cooked it over a fire made from broken chair legs and old prayer books. The meat hissed and blackened. I ate it with shaking hands. It tasted like burnt pork and ash. I didn't sleep that night. Not because of guilt, but because of the smell. It clung to my fingers, oily and metallic. I scrubbed them against the wall until they bled. Still, I smelled it. In my dreams, I heard him grunt again, wet and soft. And I woke up choking. But I lived. The cycles blurred together after that. Each time I peeled myself from the sack, I moved faster. I remembered which alleys echoed footfalls, which doors were false, which rooftops held scavengers with sharp eyes and sharper blades. The same city, endlessly stitched and torn. Sometimes I died quick. A misstep, a trap. Once I slipped on wet cobbles and cracked my skull. Woke up 2 hours later in the sack again, furious at my own clumsiness. Other times I lasted days. Learned which bricks came loose, which drains led to hidden bolt holes. I found an old tenement with a half-collapsed roof and a door that stuck in the frame. Good enough for a night. I wedged it shut with a rusted pipe and slept behind a line of upturned chairs. That's where I started keeping a stash. Nothing big, just scraps. A bit of cloth, a chipped mug for water, a shard of mirror tucked beneath a floorboard, a length of wire. Memory kept me alive, but tools made it easier. One night I came back to find the wire gone. The mug, too. And the mirror. But not the cloth. That's how I knew it was a person, not a rat. I waited. The thief came back a day later. Thin, fidgety, hair patchy, like it had been torn out in clumps. He crept through the door like he thought the shadows would swallow him. I let him get 3 steps in before I spoke. Wrong stash. He yelped, spun, nearly fell over. Jesus, how long? Long enough. He raised his hands, palms open. Look, I didn't know it was claimed, I swear. I thought it was just junk. Didn't mean nothing by it. I stepped forward. He flinched. Name? Ed. Ed Turner. Just trying to make it, same as you. He looked like he might bolt, but I was blocking the door. He'd have to go through me. Where's the mirror? He hesitated. I punched him. Not hard. Just enough to split his lip and send him sprawling. He scrambled backward, hands up. Okay. I traded it. For food. A heel of bread. That's all I had. I believed him. He looked like he hadn't eaten in days, skin tight over cheekbones, eyes sunken. I didn't say anything, just turned and kicked over one of the chairs. Sat down. Let him sit with the shame. He wiped his lip. You gonna kill me? No. He exhaled. Started to relax. But someone else might. His brow furrowed. What's that mean? It means you don't steal from claims. Not unless you're ready to defend it or die for it. That a rule? It's the only one that matters. Later, I saw him again. Down near the old post office where Maeve's crew held court. They'd stacked mail crates into a barrier and hung strips of colored cloth from the windows. Red for warning, green for trade, white for mercy. Today, all of them were red. Ed was on his knees, hands behind his back. Blood on his face. One of Maeve's people, tall woman missing 2 fingers, was pacing in front of him. You knew it was claimed, she said. I didn't. I thought... She slapped him, hard. He rocked sideways, nearly fell. Maeve stood nearby, arms crossed, watching. Ed looked up, lips split, eyes wild. It was just a tin. One tin. I was starving. "That's not the point," the woman said. Maeve didn't speak. She just nodded once. The woman pulled a blade from her belt. Thin, sharp, surgical. She didn't kill him. She cut his left hand, deep across the palm. Then she wrapped it in a strip of dirty cloth and tied it with cord. "Thief's mark," she said. Ed wept. Not from pain, from shame. They let him crawl away. He passed me later that day, dragging his hand like it didn't belong to him. He didn't look at me. I didn't say anything. I died again 3 nights later. This time it was rats. Not animals. Men. Quick, dirty, desperate. 2 of them cornered me near the old train arches. They had blades made from snapped umbrella ribs. One distracted, the other lunged. I stabbed the first in the throat, but the second got me in the gut. Sloppy. Jagged. I bled out under the arches, watching the rats pick through my pockets. When I woke, I went back. Killed them both. No hesitation, no words, just brick and blade. One tried to beg, said he didn't remember me. Maybe he didn't. Maybe he was new. But I remembered him, the way he laughed when I fell, the way he kicked my ribs to see if I was dead, so I made sure he was. After that, I didn't flinch so much. Hunger does that. Fear fades when you've bled enough. Pain becomes background noise. The city teaches you. I learned to move quiet, to breathe slow, to wrap cloth around my boots so footsteps didn't echo. I learned which buildings creaked, which floors gave way. I learned to watch the rooftops for movement. Learned that sometimes the whispering wasn't in your head. Sometimes it was a trap, a voice calling your name, soft, almost familiar. Once I heard my mother. Not really, but the shape of her voice, that softness. "Alex," it whispered. "Come inside, it's warm." I stepped toward the sound, then stopped. The door ahead was open, just a crack, enough to see the gleam of an eye behind it. Waiting. I turned and walked away. Didn't run, didn't look back, just kept walking until the voice faded. That's another rule. If it sounds like home, it's a lie. One night, I sat by the fire in the tenement, chewing on something unidentifiable, some kind of salted meat from a trade, and tried to remember my real name. Not Alex. That was what I'd told the ragged man, what I told myself. But before the sacks, before the city, I couldn't find it. Just a blank space. A hole. I rubbed my thumb against the base of my finger over the scar that wasn't there. A nervous tick, a memory. That scar had a story, but I couldn't remember it. Only that it mattered. That I used to be someone else. Someone who didn't eat flesh. Who didn't kill strangers with bricks. Someone who would have helped the boy in the alley instead of splitting his skull open. But that person was gone. The sack took the body. The city took the rest. I slept with my back to the wall and my blade tucked beneath my chin. The rain drummed on the roof like fingers, tapping out a warning, and somewhere outside, the ragged man was still smiling. The next morning, I moved before the sun rose. The tenement creaked with every step, the soaked wood swollen and soft beneath my feet. I left the fire cold, the meat gone, and my blade freshly honed from the edge of a broken shopping trolley. It wasn't much. It didn't need to be. The street outside reeked of standing water and rot. Gutters overflowed. Rain had stopped sometime in the night, but the air still hung thick and wet, heavy with the iron tang of old blood. I pulled my collar up and kept to the shadows, boots muffled with rags, eyes scanning for movement above. There was a shopping terrace on the east side, crumbling brickwork, old shop fronts with names worn to ghosts. One still had mannequins in the window, their plastic skin blistered and peeling like burned flesh. I'd seen movement near there the day before, something quick, too upright to be one of the sacks. Might have been a scavenger. Might have been worse. But I needed something to trade, cloth, wire, anything. I slipped through a shattered display window and into the husk of what had once been a bakery. The smell of mildew hit first, then the sharp, sweet stink of decay. Something had died here. Recently. I stepped over the bloated remains of a dog, or what was left of one, and moved toward the back. There was a stash tucked behind a collapsed shelf. 2 cans of beans, a rusted multi-tool, and a coil of copper wire. Someone had worked hard to hide it. I worked harder to take it. I was halfway back out, crouched low beneath a broken awning, when I heard the crunch of boots on wet glass. 3 of them. I froze. A voice came next, low, guttural, with a regional lilt, like old brick and coal smoke. "That's mine, Scav." I turned slowly, hands visible, blade tucked under my forearm. The man who spoke was thick through the shoulders, wrapped in scavenged armor, leather patches, scrap metal riveted to a faded army vest. A thick iron bar rested across his shoulder, stained dark at one end. His face was half covered in soot or dried blood. His eyes were clear. Gareth Mallory. I'd seen him once before, from a rooftop. He'd been dragging a screaming man by the ankle, casual as a butcher with a side of meat, left him in the gutter with his tongue nailed to a doorframe. He stepped forward. The 2 behind him spread wide, blocked retreat. "You're new," he sniffed, eyes flicking to the wire poking from my coat. "Don't look new, but you smell it." I didn't answer, just rubbed my thumb against that phantom scar and waited. "You know the rules?" he asked. I nodded. "Say them." I didn't move, his voice dropped. "Say them." I swallowed. "No claim, no keep. No fire without mark. No kill without cause." He smiled wide and feral. "Good. You scavenged my claim. That's cause." The club came down fast. I rolled left, felt the wind of it slice past my ear, and slammed my shoulder into the nearest wall. Shelving collapsed. One of his men lunged, knife out sloppy, and I caught his wrist, drove my blade into his armpit. He screamed. Warm blood sprayed my face. The second one grabbed me from behind. Thick arms, strong. I bit his hand. He shrieked, and I stomped back into his knee, felt it buckle. He dropped. Gareth was already moving. No wasted breath, no anger, just purpose. The club came again. I ducked, heard it smash through plaster, through the multi-tool. It clanged off his armor, useless. He grinned. Then he charged. I ran, not far, just enough to draw him into the alley behind the terrace. Narrow, choked with debris. His size would slow him, mine wouldn't. I leapt over a fallen cart, turned, waited. He came through like a charging boar, no finesse, just brute mass. I sidestepped and swung the blade low. It caught his thigh. Deep. He roared, staggered, swung the club one-handed. It caught my ribs. I felt something crack. I went down hard. The world tilted. Rainwater soaked my back. Gutter stink filled my mouth. He loomed over me. "Should have stayed dead," he muttered. I stabbed up. The blade slid under his chin through soft meat. His eyes went wide. He fell forward, heavy and twitching. I lay there, breathing shallow, listening to his blood patter on the cobbles like warm rain. The alley was quiet again. When I finally stood, my ribs screamed. I spat blood, Took his club, took his armor, left the body. The two others had fled or bled out. I didn't check. I walked until I couldn't. Collapsed against the side of a soot-streaked townhouse with boarded windows and a door painted red. Not paint. Dried blood. A claim mark. I didn't care. I passed out. When I woke, it was dark. A fire burned low nearby. Controlled. Shielded. Voices, soft, clipped. A woman crouched beside me. Pale eyes, cropped hair, worn jacket with a stitched badge I didn't recognize. Maeve Harrow. "You killed Gareth?" she said. Not a question. I nodded. She looked at the club in my hand, the armor on my chest, the blood still wet on my face. "You wearing his things or claiming his place?" I didn't answer. She waited, then nodded. "Doesn't matter. You did what the city asks." She stood, turned away. "You're in now, if you want to be." I coughed. "What's the price?" "Obedience. Work, no theft. No fire without mark. No kill without cause." I laughed, bitter and wet. "Same rules he had." She looked back. "We enforce them differently." I pulled myself up with the club. Every breath hurt. "What's the punishment?" Maeve didn't answer, just turned and walked toward the fire. I followed. The others sat in a rough circle, 6 of them. One had a missing hand, fresh wound wrapped in cloth. He stared at me with something between hate and hunger. Ed Turner. Maeve gestured to a space near the fire. "Sit. Eat." A tin was passed. Beans, lukewarm. I ate with my fingers. No one spoke. The fire crackled. Somewhere in the distance, a scream rose and died. Maeve finally said, "This is the claim. Marked doors, 3 blocks. You stay inside them, you're safe." "From what?" She met my eyes. "From us." I nodded. "Tomorrow," she said, "you work. Patrol, scavenge, watch the roofs. No fire without mark. No kill without cause." She said it like a prayer. I repeated it. Ed grunted. "He'll last a week, tops." Maeve didn't look at him. "So did you." He spat into the fire. I rubbed my thumb again. The scar wasn't there. But the habit stayed. The city hadn't killed me yet. And now I had a claim, a tribe, a fire to sit by. It felt almost like something human, almost. But the club in my lap was still wet with Gareth's blood. And Ed was still watching me like he knew how this story ended. Skin Street, the rain started before dawn. Not the usual mist or drizzle, but a hard, slanting downpour that filled gutters and turned the cobbles into slick traps. By the time we set out, our boots were soaked and every breath tasted like rust. Maeve led, always. She moved like she didn't feel the cold, didn't notice the wet. Just one hand on the stubby handle of her crowbar, the other tucked into the folds of her jacket. We moved in twos, quiet, eyes scanning the rooftops. I was paired with Ed. Lucky me. "Why Skin Street?" he hissed, not for the first time. "Why not the West Quarter? That corner shop still had tins last time." Maeve cut him off with a look. "West's burned. Roof caved in. Skin's untouched." Ed snorted. "Yeah, because even the dead won't walk it." No one laughed. Even Maeve didn't try to argue. We all knew what Skin Street was. Every part of the city had its own rules, its own monsters. Skins were just more honest. The name said it all. We moved tight, hugging walls, avoiding puddles that might hide broken glass or worse. I kept my eyes up, always up. Rooftops, window ledges, gutters. The first time I died, it was a fall. The second, net. The third, a voice in the dark, whispering my name. The city teaches fast, or kills you slow. I didn't speak. Neither did Ed after a while. He was jumpy, muttering under his breath, fingers twitching near the blade tucked into his belt. I saw him eyeing a doorway, half hung with bones and what looked like dried hide, and shake his head. Skin Street began with a change in smell, wet rot and copper. Then the visuals hit. Trophies. A door nailed sideways to a lamppost. A child's shoe stuffed with something unidentifiable. Skins, some stitched, some stretched, hung like flags from balconies. One had teeth still embedded in the lips. Maeve didn't flinch. She stopped, turned. No marks, no theft. Eyes forward, we move fast. We did. The street narrowed ahead, shadowed. The buildings leaned in, their faces scored with burns and deep gouges. Someone had scrawled words on the bricks in soot or blood, couldn't tell which. Most were illegible. One read, "Hide me." Then Ed broke the rules. He darted left into a doorway that looked like it had been rigged for display, a frame of rib bones, a rusted bell above. Maeve hissed, "Ed!" But he was already inside, crouching. I moved to follow, but she grabbed my arm. "Let him. He'll learn." I didn't like it. Not just because it was Skin Street, but because the silence had changed. The rain was still falling, but the air felt too still, like holding your breath in a crypt. Ed came out grinning, something clutched in his hand. "Look at this," he whispered. "Stitched ribbon, still dry. Must mean it's been hanging inside, untouched." Maeve's face went blank, then cold. "Drop it." He laughed. "Why? It's nothing. A charm, lucky maybe." "Drop it," she said again. "No one saw, no one cares. It's just..." A low chime rang out, not loud. Just a single note, almost beneath hearing, but it moved through the bones in my chest like a heartbeat. Ed froze. Maeve didn't. She spun, crowbar up, eyes scanning the rooftops. I followed her gaze. Movement. A figure, no, two, crouched on a ledge. Naked, but for grime and strips of cloth. One had a mask. Not leather, not metal. Skin. They didn't leap. They waited. Maeve whispered, "Run." Then the trap snapped. From both sides of the street, figures dropped from alcoves, from behind stacked crates, from the hollows where doors used to be. They moved fast, coordinated. No groans, no shambling. Predators. One of ours, a girl with a limp I didn't know well, screamed as she was pulled back into a doorway. Her cry cut off with a wet crunch. Ed bolted. Maeve didn't. She turned and swung, catching one of them in the throat. He dropped, choking. Another came behind her, and she pivoted, slammed the crowbar into their ribs. I ran, not away, toward her. Stupid. I got 2 steps before someone slammed into me. We hit the ground hard. I punched, elbowed, felt teeth graze my forearm. Then a hand grabbed the back of my jacket and yanked me clear. "Maeve." "Go," she shouted, blood on her face. "Ed." "Forget Ed." She turned, swung again. I didn't see what happened next. I ran. Boots slapping wet stone, breath ragged. Behind me, screams. Not all human. I ducked into an alley, twisted through a gap in the wall, stumbled into a courtyard with a broken fountain, kept going. The church rose ahead, dark against the rain. I'd seen it before, from a distance. A stubby bell tower. Stained glass shattered. Doors barely hanging on. I reached it, shoved one door open, slipped inside. Darkness. Rot. The smell of old wood and older blood. I slammed the door shut, dragged a pew across it. Another. The scrape echoed like thunder. My hand shook. My thumb rubbed that old scar. Gone. But the habit stayed. I was alone. I slumped to the floor. Rain dripped somewhere in the rafters. The pews were broken, hacked at. The altar was gone. In its place, a pile of cloth and bone. Someone had tried to burn it. Half-charred scripture pages stuck to the wall. I didn't cry, I didn't scream, just sat. And then I heard it. Not outside, inside, voices. Soft. Wrong, not words, not quite. A whispering, just at the edge of hearing. Like breath through teeth. I stood, backed into the deepest shadow near the altar pile. The whispering followed. No footsteps, just sound. I pressed my back to the cold stone. Whispers grew clearer. My name. Not shouted, not even spoken. Just breathed. Lex. I closed my eyes. They were dead. Maeve, Ed, the rest. Gone because we went to Skin Street. Gone because Ed couldn't follow the rules. Gone because I didn't stop him. A shape moved across the stained glass, just a shadow. Could have been the wind. Could have been them. The whispering stopped. Silence. I waited. Nothing. Hours passed, or minutes. Time bent in the dark. Eventually, I moved. Found a candle stub and lit it with a match from the stash in my boot. The flame flickered blue. I saw the walls. Names scratched into stone. Dozens. Hundreds. Some recent, some faded. A list of the forgotten. I added one. Maeve. Scratched with the end of a broken nail. It bled. I didn't stop. I stayed there till dawn. When I finally stepped outside, the rain had stopped. The street was empty. But the silence was heavy. On the church door, someone had nailed something. The stitched ribbon, still wet. Whispers and warnings. The stitched ribbon glistened faintly in the dull morning light, slick with whatever had been used to wet it. Blood, most likely. Not fresh, but not dried either. A message, a ritual, a claim. I didn't touch it, didn't need to. I'd seen enough of those sewn strips to know what they meant, territory or warning or both. Someone still walked these streets, still played the old city games, and they wanted me to know they'd seen me. I stepped back from the church door and looked up. The bell tower loomed like a broken finger, jagged where lightning or rot had taken the top. No bell anymore, just the rope, frayed to threads, swaying gently in the breeze. I didn't bother going up. No vantage point worth the climb. No safety in height when the whispers could follow you through stone. Instead, I turned toward the alley behind the church. The wet cobbles sucked at my boots. The air stank of old soot, and something sweet rotting deeper in the gutter. The kind of scent that clung to your tongue. Every step was a decision now. Every corner a risk. But I wasn't running anymore. I found Maeve's remains in the shadow of the apse wall, where the alley met the broken perimeter of the old graveyard. Just bones and scraps. Her coat, the one with the stitched seam she always checked by habit, still wrapped around one shoulder. Most of her was gone, scattered or taken, but enough remained to know it was her. I knelt, fingers brushing the cloth. No words, no prayer, just the ritual. I took a flat stone from the gutter, wiped it clean on my sleeve, and carved a single line into the wall above her. Horizontal, deliberate, shallow. Resident mark. No flourish, no claim of territory. Just presence. Then I stood, stripped the coat from her bones and slid it onto my own shoulders. It hung loose, damp, but it was warm, and it was hers. I didn't cry, I didn't let myself. Instead, I scavenged. The ruins around the church were old, brick and stone cracked by time, roofs gone to rot. But in the vestry's half-collapsed corridor, behind a barricade of pews and rusted filing cabinets, I found what I needed. An old constable's riot vest, padded and cracked, but intact. Someone had stashed it here long ago, maybe thinking they'd come back for it. They didn't. I strapped it on, tightened the straps, felt the weight settle across my chest. Then the club, wooden, iron-tipped, one of the old truncheons used by Gareth's lot before they all started favoring blades. I tested the grip, solid, blood-stained but dry. I took it. The whispers hadn't followed me out of the nave, but I still felt them in my bones, like ache before a storm. A warning under the skin. I rubbed my thumb, scarless now, but the habit rooted, grounding. The sun barely crept through the clouds, just enough light to cast long shadows, to make shapes stretch and move where nothing did. I moved through the alleys, quiet and slow, eyes scanning every open doorway, every rooftop edge. The city was waking, not with life, with hunger. I passed the old bakery, burnt out, walls blackened and door half gone. Inside, someone had left a message scrawled in soot. Stay dead. Below it, a pile of bones, arranged, deliberate. I didn't linger. Further down, I found one of Gareth's old stash points. The hatch behind the false drain pipe was still wedged shut with a bent nail, his sign for untouched. I pried it open. Inside, 2 tins of beans, a half-full water bottle, and a single bullet. .38 caliber. No gun. I took it all, left the nail bent back. They'd know someone had come through. That was fine. Let them know. The club hung heavy in my hand as I moved. Not a weapon of grace. Not like Maeve's knife or Ed's little crowbar. But it spoke in a different language, one the city respected. Noise behind me once, a shuffle on gravel. I spun, club raised. Nothing. Just a sack. Empty. Hanging from a rusted pipe. Swollen, split. Slick inside. Newborn gone. I kept walking. The whispers started again near Skin Street. Not loud. Not words. Just that breath. That hiss of something watching from the edge. I didn't follow them. Didn't engage. That's how they drew you in. Curiosity, guilt, hope. All of it bait. I kept to the side alleys, avoided the wide roads where the real predators hunted. The ones who wore stitched skin and carried bones as trophies. The ones who didn't need whispers. Their rules were simpler. See, kill, strip, move on. But I wasn't prey anymore. At the crossroads near the old tram depot, I paused. Looked up. Another sack. Torn. Fresh blood at the base. I waited. And sure enough, movement. Barely there breathing from the alley mouth. A figure, hunched, naked, slick with birth wet. Eyes wide, confused. The first gasp of someone realizing their skin wasn't their own anymore. They saw me. Flinched. I stepped forward. Didn't raise the club. Didn't speak. They backed up a step. Trembling. Hands raised, palms out. Where? They started. I stopped them with a glance. You'll want to find shelter before dark, I said. Voice flat. Measured. They blinked. What is this? I pointed at the sack. That's your first warning. Then I turned and walked on. Didn't offer help. Didn't stop to explain. They wouldn't believe it yet anyway. They'd need to die a few times first. Learn how the city teaches. Like I had. By the time I reached the overlook above the canals, the clouds had broken a little. Not sun, exactly, but a sickly light that made the water below glimmer like oil. The wind carried the smell of rust and wet stone. I stood there a while, watched the rooftops, watched the movement, small, deliberate, human and not. Patchwork City breathed beneath me, a slow, ragged breath, always hungry. I took the bullet from my pocket, turned it in my fingers, then dropped it into the canal, useless without the gun. And I wasn't the kind of fool who carried hope like a charm. Not anymore. The church bell didn't ring. It never did. But I felt the rhythm of the day shift, the way the air changed when dusk began to creep in, the way shadows grew teeth. Time to move. Time to find a place to wait out the dark. I turned, started back toward the maze of alleys, and then I heard it. Another sack tearing open. A cry, high, frantic. Another one born. I didn't go to them, didn't need to. They'd find me eventually, or someone like me. And when they did, I'd tell them the truth. Tell them what Maeve tried to teach, what Ed broke, what the ragged man knew all along, that here kindness gets you killed, that mercy makes you meat, that the only way to survive is to follow the rules, even if they strip you down to bone. So if you're hearing this, if you wake up slick and gasping, skin unscarred, mouth full of copper, remember this: you don't get to keep your old self. You get to choose what kind of monster you'll be. And if you're lucky, if you're smart, you'll learn fast. Before the whispers call your